The stadium smelled like hot plastic and cut grass. 2,000 folding chairs faced a temporary stage draped in blue fabric. Families fanned themselves with programs. Names were being tested over the microphone, mispronounced and corrected. It was loud in the ordinary way ceremonies are loud: layered conversations, restless siblings, camera shutters. I was seated in the second row of graduates. Program folded neatly in my lap, waiting to give the student address before diplomas were handed out. My father sat high in the bleachers, centered. He had chosen that seat deliberately. Visibility mattered to him. All through college, he reminded me who had made it possible. Tuition payments were not quiet gifts. They were cited during disagreements, referenced during holidays, inserted into conversations that had nothing to do with school. "I'm investing in you," he would say, but it never felt like belief. It felt like ownership. During my junior year, after a particularly sharp argument where he told me I should major in something that justified the expense, I began applying for every scholarship I qualified for. I took extra shifts at the campus writing center. I reduced my course load one semester to work more hours. I also met with the financial aid office and asked a question that felt disloyal at the time. What would it take to remove my father from my tuition entirely? The answer wasn't simple, but it was possible. Grants, federal loans, a payment plan, pride swallowed carefully. By the time senior year ended, the final tuition installment he had promised was no longer needed. I had declined it in writing. I had declined of the email. He did not take that well. "You think you're proving something?" he asked over the phone. "No," I said. "I'm finishing something." He still came to graduation. When my name was called to introduce the student address, I stood, adjusted the cap that never quite fit right, and walked to the podium. The speech was about persistence. About the quiet kind of success that doesn't trend online. I had practiced it until the words felt steady in my mouth. Halfway through, as applause rose for a line about collective effort, my father stood, his voice easily in the open air. "Don't clap," he yelled. "I paid for that degree, not her." The sound did not echo. It landed, conversation snapped shut. Program stopped mid-wave. 2,000 people turned toward the bleachers in synchronized confusion. My hands shook. Not violently, just enough that I could see the paper tremble. For a split second, I considered continuing as if I hadn't heard him. Pretending dignity meant endurance. But I was tired of confusing silence with grace. I stepped back from the microphone. Then forward again. 7 words were all I trusted myself with. My tuition was paid. By me. The sentence wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. Behind me, I heard the scrape of a chair. The dean stood. We had spoken 3 weeks earlier in her office, when I finalized the financial paperwork and asked that any future inquiries about my account be directed solely to me. I had told her, carefully, that my father sometimes confused contribution with control. She had nodded in a way that suggested she had seen this before. Now, from the stage, she looked past me and up into the bleachers. "Sir," she said evenly, "this ceremony will proceed without interruption. Security already positioned along the perimeter, standard protocol for events of this size, began moving. Not rushing, not dramatic, just purposeful." My father did not sit down. "I paid for 4 years. He shouted again, though there was less certainty in it now. "You offered." I replied into the microphone. "I declined." The dean didn't look at me. She didn't need to. Her attention remained fixed as 2 security officers reached my father's row. They spoke to him briefly. I couldn't hear the words, but I could see the posture shift, the negotiation between pride and removal. He gathered his jacket too quickly. His face had lost color. He was escorted down the stairs under the gaze of strangers who had come to celebrate their own children. No one booed. No one applauded, they just watched. When he disappeared through the exit gate, the dean turned back to the audience. "Congratulations to our graduates," she said, as if resetting a clock. There was a hesitation, a shared breath, then applause resumed. Softer at first. Then steady. I finished the speech, my voice didn't crack. I don't remember most of what I said after that, only that the words felt unburdened. When I crossed the stage to receive my diploma, the dean held my hand half a second longer than necessary. "Proud of you," she said quietly. Afterward, my phone filled with messages. Some from extended family calling me disrespectful. Some from classmates saying they were sorry to endure that publicly. My father texted once. "You embarrassed me." I stared at it for a long time. I didn't reply. That evening, when the cat and gown were folded on my bed, I opened my laptop and logged into the loan portal. The numbers were real. The repayment schedule was independence isn't free. But neither is dignity. The degree hangs on my wall now. Not because it proves intelligence. Not because it justifies expense. Because it reminds me of a moment when humiliation was offered to me in front of thousands, and I chose not to carry it. My father and I speak rarely. When we do, the topic of tuition never comes up. Ownership, once claimed publicly, is harder to reclaim after it's been corrected publicly. The applause that day wasn't for him. And for the first time, it wasn't borrowed.